What is going on, everybody? How you all doing out there? I hope this video is finding you well. Welcome back to Get Right On In. My name is Andrew, for those of you who do not know, and today I am just going to go over what I have read so far for this readathon, what I have planned for this next week, as well as where Team Aries currently sits on the rankings. So now with all of that out of the way, without further ado, let's just get right on in. Okay, first up, before I get into all of this, I suppose what I should actually do, even though I just posted my video on the complete birthday book haul, I got another one right here, next to King Gothic. Thank you so much to Jessie from The Bookish Mom for gifting me this book. I'm actually very excited about reading this book. I don't really know what it's about. Maybe I'll be able to fit it into this little readathon. It does have red on the cover, and that is one of the requirements, so we will see. And just because of Jessie and a couple other people who have just informed me on how difficult it is to find my wish list, fine, I have inputted it back into the description box. So for anybody who feels like ever using it, there it is. I don't know, I took it out because I just felt weird, but if people are gonna be more upset about it not being in there than being in there, then I will make it easy for you all the next time I have a birthday, or the next time someone feels like showering me with some book mail. My wish list is back in my description box. Moving on to what I have finished first for the week. First up, we have Sweet Spot by Amy Ettinger, which is her little foray across America in search of the best ice cream. It wasn't really even about the search for the best ice cream. It was just very much about the history of ice cream and all the different types of ice cream. And honestly, there was a lot in here that was very informative, and a lot in here that I wasn't expecting in regard to ice cream. Namely, when it comes to the ice cream truck wars, especially out in New York City. I just really never thought about how much drama would be going on with ice cream truck drivers, but this book definitely opened my eyes to some of that. And while I didn't necessarily think the entire book was necessary, I still enjoyed it for what it was. And I really did learn a lot about how to make ice cream, all the different types of ice cream, all sorts of just like different random fun facts that I would have never even thought about, and can confirm needed ice cream to read this book. So when Kim from Bookmarks and Breadsticks gave me this book for her little Bookmarks and Breadsticks read it and eat subscription box, she warned me that I was gonna need some ice cream. I said that I was gonna need some ice cream when I announced this in my TBR video, and now I am just confirming that yes, if you read Sweet Spot by Amy Ettinger, you should have a bowl of ice cream handy. Or maybe some gelato, because there's a lot of talk about some gelato, or some froyo, or anything else like that in between, but you should definitely have some sort of frozen treat ready to go for this. Overall, I think I probably gave it maybe a 3.5 out of 5, maybe a 4. I haven't fully decided what my final ranking on this will be, just because, like I said, there are some parts I didn't necessarily think were necessary, but for the most part, it was definitely a very enjoyable read. The next book that I finished this week was The Wastelands by Stephen King, which I love. I don't know, I don't really have too much else to say, I guess. The Dark Tower became one of my favorite series when I first read it back in 2018. This is now my third go around with this series, and it is the first time that I am listening to it on the audiobook, and it has just added so much to the story for me. I'm loving listening to these books. I think the narrator does such a great job. And with The Wastelands, this time I had chosen it, I think it was Hestia was the prompt. It was for the found family prompt. That was the reason that I had chosen this particular book, and especially this particular book in the Dark Tower series, because this is where everybody comes together. And this is when, I've said it before, that the drawing of the three is when the story starts, because it kind of is, but The Wastelands is also kind of where the story starts. This one has so much more backstory on Midworld and all of the different characters that are involved in this little quartet, and there's just so much going on, and it feels like the most Stephen King type book, just with the intensity in it and just how it's written, and the general feeling of it feels a lot more like a Stephen King book. And while I was listening to it, something that I don't know, so with the gunslinger and the drawing of the three and the wasteland, Wastelands. Together, those 3 books make up roughly about the same size as like Wizard and Glass and Wolves of the Kala and The Dark Tower. So I now am kind of looking at the first 3 books as one big book in a weird sense, and so it's harder for me to differentiate in that regard of like which one is better, because I really think that the first 3 books are their own little set, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 are each their own individual stories. And a weird way like that, I guess. I don't really know how else to say that, but I do really love The Wastelands, and I did really love it so much on audiobook. I don't know if I will be carrying on to Wizard and Glass this month. It just depends on what else I've got going on with this readathon, but I don't know, but I will get to it at least next month if I don't get to it this month. But The Wastelands, you're still up there. Probably a 5 out of 5 for me. I don't know. I think I rate them down a little bit because I'm trying not to be too 5-star heavy now that I'm using Storygraph instead of Goodreads. But overall, The Dark Tower is a 30 out of 10 read for me, so I don't even care about the individual book rankings like that, because the series as a whole is just totally freaking worth it for me. And that will take care of the 2 books that I have completed so far, which is weird to me because I feel like when I did the readathon back in December, I was just crushing like 2,000 pages a week, and so it's so weird that I'm like, I finished 700 pages last week. But I did actually read a little bit more because I am almost halfway here through Legendborn, which I am using for the Aphrodite prompt of choosing a book with a beautiful cover. I have mixed emotions about this book at this current time. I don't really know. I kind of want to save some of my final thoughts for final thoughts. At the beginning, I felt like it was a little bit angsty, which I understand considering, first of all, what the main character was going through, which I'm not going to spoil, even though I'm pretty sure, yeah. But it just, there's bits of this that have reminded me of why I'm not always the biggest fan of YA, but there's also parts of it that have been very interesting. I haven't put it down, so there is that. I haven't really had a desire to put it down. I'm definitely interested enough to see where this story goes and what happens with it, but I don't think at this current time I would be saying like, wow, this story is just so good, I'm so enthralled, I love every page, because that's just not currently how I'm feeling. I am on page 242 of 490, so I am like halfway. We will see how the second half of this book goes, but so far, I don't know, I'm just kind of neutral. I would say it's probably a 3 out of 5 for me at this current time. It's not bad, it's well written, you know what I mean? Tracy Deonn is definitely a very good author, very engaging story. There's just bits of it that I don't really like, and I also don't know if I can really talk about it without it being spoilery, but I'm neutral toward this book right now. We'll see how I feel about it. I should be finishing it this week, so next week I should have a more full update on what I actually think. Next up, as to what I am still currently reading, is going to be The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I'm about 200 pages into this one, and I like it. I currently don't love it. And with the Poppy War, I was pretty much like page 1 to page 500 whatever, and I was in that story. I loved it so much. First book was such a 5 out of 5 star read for me, and I was very excited to go into this book. I'm still excited to keep reading this book. I enjoy it so far. I like that there are elements and aspects of dealing with addiction, and I like that there are elements and aspects dealing with soldiers and PTSD in regard to some of the decisions that soldiers have to make sometimes. As with Legendborn, I think I'll just have to wait until I actually finish the full book before I have full thoughts. But I don't really know how I feel about this book as of this present moment. It was the first one that I started for this readathon on the 1st of June, and it's the only one that I haven't really picked back up. Like, I started it while I was listening to The Wastelands. Wastelands is different because listening to it on audio, I can do it when I'm doing the dishes, walking the dog, driving, all of that kind of stuff. But I did end up getting more interested in Legendborn, I guess, when I started that. But Legendborn I'm also doing as an immersion read with the audiobook alongside. So I do think that that also helps me, at least with the speed of that book, because I'm listening to it while I'm reading it, whereas with this it's just a physical copy. But I do enjoy this book. We'll just see where it goes and how it goes from here. So with Legendborn, I should hopefully have this one done by next week, so I will have full thoughts on it for you by then. then. Alright, and as for what I am hopefully reading next this week, I mean, I would like to finish the Dragon Republic and Legendborn and be able to at least start on something else, especially now that the audiobook for the Wastelands is done. I would like to half do an immersion read and half listen to the audiobook for The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. This is a Dark Tower book in some way. It's connected to the universe somehow. It's on the list of books that you should read if you want to read the entire Dark Tower verse, but it is a book that I have yet to read. But since I found it for $4 at the local used bookstore, I had to get it. And it is a solid 900 and something pages here, so listening to that audiobook is going to help me get through this, because this is quite the chunker. But I am also very behind on my page count reading goal for the year. I had initially put in that I would like to read 30,000 pages by the end of this year. I am currently on 9,500 pages, so I'm 5,500 pages behind. And so since I wanted to use this readathon to help catch me up on some of my books and pages, I went for a 1,000-pager that wasn't originally on my TBR because I'm trying to knock out some of those extra pages. So we'll see how all of this one goes, but I am very excited about this book because I have heard really good things about it. It seems very adventurous and very fun. I forget which prompt I was putting it under, whatever travel prompt is, because there's an epic adventure and travel that's going on in this book. So I guess we'll just see how it goes, but this is one of the two that I hopefully have planned coming next. The second of which is going to be Patience of a Dead Man by Michael Clark. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this freaking book. Thank you so much to Wrapup Reads for giving me this for my birthday, because I've been wanting to read it for months and months and months after talking to Sharon and Leslie and all these other people about how great of a book it is. Even Vish says that this book is scary, which is great. I really want to read a scary book. I haven't read like a scary book in a really long time. I'll see how it goes. This is the full trilogy. I don't think I will be getting to all 3 books this month because I don't think the other 2 will really fit into any of the prompts, so I don't know, we'll see. But whatever undead ghost prompt one it is what I'm planning on putting the first book into anyway, and honestly, I'm just so very excited for this, even though both of these books are taking me away from Mistborn: The Final Empire that I'm supposed to be reading. Oh my gosh, I even opened it up on camera talking about how I keep pushing it back, and I don't know why. I really don't. I enjoy that book. I've read it before. Like, I don't know what I'm so stressed out about. I'm starting it again, so I don't know. Next week, who knows what's gonna happen when I do my little wrap up, because God knows I probably will feel guilty or something and have finished all 3 Mistborns, and then everything will just be all different from there. But we will see how all of that goes, and in the meantime, that is everything that I have completed, what I am still currently reading, what I have planned next. And as for the rankings so far, Team Aries is in 6th place out of 15, I think, teams that there are, which I'm not mad. I'm very excited about it. I love my team. Honestly, our little team chat is very fun. I love all of the people who have been put on my team. I don't have anybody who's causing me any problems. No one's crazy. Like, we all just get along. We're all just there to read and have a good time. So it's been a pretty chill readathon as compared to the Reindeer Games one that I did in December, but that's also just because I'm not all over the place reading like I was back then. But this readathon is super fun, so I'm so thankful for the opportunity to not only take part in it, but to also be a team captain in it, because this is just such a fun way of interacting with and engaging with the community. So thank you all so much for having me, and thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I would love it if you would consider giving it a little thumbs up, as well as potentially pressing on that little subscribe button so you can join me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes on Sundays, for bookish and writerly and entertainment-y-esque content just like this. In the meantime, I hope you all have a day just as beautiful as you, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!